Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Amelia. We are so happy to be here on behalf of LAMS. That's the Library Leadership Group for NCLA. We're happy to sponsor this session with Wake County Innovation Strategist, Kenisha Hinton. Kenisha has extensive experience in government leadership. She has a master's degree in social work, a certificate in lean government, and a make it happen attitude. She helps transition ideas into reality with a focus on understanding the rules, listening to the stakeholders, and employing strategy. Kenisha is passionate about helping systems initiate strategic change and nurture innovation, which is why we're here, all while keeping employees and customer service at the focal point. In the words of John S. Harrington, there are no dreams too large, no innovation unimaginable, and no frontiers beyond our reach. That's directly from Kenisha, and I believe that to be true. She helps reveal the secret sauce to change by leveraging passion, metrics, knowledge, and technology to develop winning strategies. So, Kenisha, thank you so much for taking the time out today, out of your busy schedule to be with us today. So I found out about your work through my colleague, Amy Mason, who is here with us today. Thank you so much, Amy. Her peer group in the library system where we work had reached out to you a few years ago to looking for a creative solution to a problem they had, which was how to use technology to develop some sort of database or portal for the youth librarians in our system to share programs. So there was some, complexities to that. And so when we heard that NCLA was looking into innovation for these sessions, Amy had the brilliant idea to reach out to you. So I was able to meet you and we had some lovely conversations. We're all very curious about innovation and how we might apply these strategies into our own projects. So if you could walk us through what you do, and then I would like to open it up for a moderated discussion after the presentation so everybody can ask questions of their own.
Awesome. Thank you. Will do. Thank you all for thinking of me. I am excited to be here and I absolutely love what I do. I am attempting to share my screen. Is that being effective? Can you see my screen?
Yes, looks great.
Perfect. Okay. So I want this to be a conversation. So please, at any
Absolutely.
time, stop me and we'll have a dialogue and figure out what it is that we need to know. Has anyone ever heard, if you want to keep getting the same things that you have, keep doing the same things that you're doing? Anybody ever heard that? You can turn your cameras on if you want. You can raise your hands virtually. Or am I the only one who's heard that?
In the chat room, it says yes.
And some people have that says that's the definition for what?
Crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I've heard that too. So now I'm not here to call anybody crazy. We're just going to kind of talk through this. And that's kind of the thinking behind using innovation in government. And where does this come from? So innovation services in Wake County government. Years ago, we had a chief innovation information director, and his name was Bill Greaves. And he had an idea that people really understand the work that they're doing. They can do things differently, and we should be able to try new things easily. We should be able to do this without anybody ever tried to make a change in the library system, and it took you like maybe 2 years, or you thought you were right there and somebody was like, oh no, because we have something else coming down. It's coming down in 2 years and we want to make sure we don't start anything new. All right, well, just guess what? Other people in government have experienced that too. So we have this motto, like, let's go ahead, try this out. Let's see if we can fail fast or win and get some small wins and get this thing going. And it really increases the morale of individuals. So I'm just going to kind of tell you a little bit of what I'm going to do. So his name was Bill Greaves. And so some of you may know Bill Greaves. Um, he's a excellent visionary. And so he had this thought, established the innovation office, identified someone to kind of lead this, and decided to sit this in IS, in information services. Some people call it in IT, in that department. Now that's all great. It's all great. But what happens is when you're sitting in that space, because innovation offices are spread out in different places in um, in the US, and some sit in the budget office, some sit in the county manager's office, some sit in IT. But so many times people begin to affiliate you based on where you're sitting in an organization. And most of the work we do, most of the changes we do really are not IT related. A lot of the change we do about people, processes, culture, and figuring out how to make things different. And so so last year in 2021, we transitioned from the IS department to the county manager's office. And what do we do? So what I'll go through when we're talking is I'm going to go through some of the ideas and go through some of the things that we do. Then we're going to ask questions. So I don't plan to be in front of you too long. We'll be able to get some questions, but let me give you an idea about what is this innovation thing. Okay, Kenisha, you said you're not insane. You're just trying not to do the same thing the same way you've been doing it over and over again. Okay, got it. But like, what does that really, really mean? So this is what it means. One thing that we do is we try to consult to improve government services. Huh?
Hey,
So
Kenisha, do you have your
yes.
slideshow still up? Because
Oh, I sure do.
it's disappeared over here.
Okay, well, let's try it again.
Okay,
And
there we go.
if that happens again, let me know, because I haven't clicked anything. I was intentional. I have to be intentional to keep my hands in my lap so that I don't like touch
It's,
stuff and mess it up. So let me know if it disappears again.
I
All right.
sure will. Thank you.
All right.
Sorry about
So
that.
this is the slide deck that I was on. Can you even see like where it says recording? I'm gonna just cancel that.
Yeah,
All right.
we can see your slides now. It looks good.
Okay, cool. All right. So those are the things I'm going to do. We're going to go what innovation does. All right. So consultation to improve government services. We consult with the department to achieve results. And what are those results? What do you want to make happen? So people come to us and say, this is what we need to do. We're having these level of barriers. We are interested in figuring out something different. So the innovation team, we try to lend an ear to every Wake County employee. Now that is a little different. This is not just who is the director of the department. Directors are valuable, and I talk about those in every class that we do. It's also just not about what is the county manager want us to do. It's about individuals who are actually doing the work, and individuals that know what will make a difference for what we want to implement, as well as what the elected officials want to make happen. So we try to really marry that and figure out how to make this a better place for everyone. Hold on one second. Okay. Yeah. How to make this a better place for everyone. Thought I was projecting the wrong slide deck. That's why I was like, I need to pause for a minute and make sure. All right. So we do that through human-centered design. What is that? That's just a way of thinking about how to do the work differently. Anybody familiar with lean thinking? Anybody ever heard that before?
I've heard it. I feel like I should know what is it,
Okay. Yeah.
but
It's
I'll
a
be honest.
You're right. It's a methodology that was actually employed by Toyota. So it came out of the manufacturing industry. But what is it all about? It's about getting rid of waste. When we look at processes that we do, I'm gonna get to this later, but anybody just doing something, you really don't think that this adds value to what you're doing. You're just doing it because somebody told you this is the way we're supposed to get it done. So we really try to look at it and say, what is value add? What are the policies dictating that we do, et cetera, and figuring out something that will be excellent for our employees as well as the residents and individuals that we serve. We also offer training and educational services. We believe that anybody can be an innovation expert. We work to give, there's three of us. Our organization has over 4,000 individuals. So our goal is to take the same skills that we use, teach individuals within the organization to do the same thing and carry it out in their workplaces so they can yield the kind of results that they want to do. So we do that with different classes, classes like creative thinking power, principles of design thinking and how to apply them, how to influence behavior. And so that's some how to influence the behavior of individuals, like when you're sending letters and stuff like that. What do I really need to put in the survey so that I can actually get answers and get the information that I'm looking for? How to run experiments quickly, how to identify the best way to tackle an issue, figuring out who our stakeholders are and things, who are the individuals that we serve. So these are some of the kind of classes that we teach. And a lot of what we do centers around this. Anybody ever heard the story of the ham? Anybody ever? So Brandy has heard it. Is she the only one?
Unmute. Nope.
I
A couple people said no.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna tell you about the ham. This lady, it was a relatively new couple. And this was their first holiday together. And they were so excited. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to cook. I'm going to cook the ham. I'm going to invite everybody over. And so all the family came over. She happened to be preparing the ham. And she cut the ends of the ham off and she was getting ready to put it in the oven. And her husband was like, why'd you cut the ends of the ham off? She was like, I don't know. I cut the ends of the ham off because my mother cut the end of the ham off. He was like, okay, just let it go. So his mom came. I mean, her mom came. And she said, Mom, why do we cut the ends of the ham off? And she said, I don't know. I cut the ends of the ham off because that's what grandma does. So okay. And so this family was fortunate enough that grandmother was still living, and she also came up for dinner that day. And so when grandma got there, she asked again. She said, Grandma, why do we cut the ends of the ham off? And grandmother replied with this. She said, I don't know why you cut the ends of the ham off, but I cut the end of the ham off because I didn't have a pan that was large enough to put it in the oven. How many practices are we still doing just because someone else did it? And really, a lot of the work that we execute is around figuring out why it is that we're doing what we do. What adds value to our processes? What things could make it better? And are there really ways that we can get rid of certain things? There are sometimes that we may be taking a document to 4 different places for it to end right back up in the same building that it started. Do we need to do that? So a lot of our work really goes into figuring out the root cause. Now that's really cute, Kenisha, again, and I appreciate it, but how does that really apply in the workplace? So number one, there is a gift in asking why. Every answer can't be because I said so. Now, some of you, not those of you that work in Wake County, I'm sure, have rules and regulations that people are like, it's just because I said so. That's just how you do it. But there is a gift in asking why, and it gets us to places. And sometimes it helps us to be a lot more efficient. It helps us to even save money. And so I'm going to tell you something about the Washington Monument. So the Washington Monument, a few years back, was getting ready to undergo this very, very expensive kind of remodel. And some things were happening really at the top of it that was impacting the quality of the stone. And so someone asked the question, why? And the question was, and so you can see the question was, why are why is it breaking down like this? Why are we having to make this repair? And they discovered when doing research, they were having to make that repair because they were using extremely harsh chemicals on the monument to clean it. Okay. Well, why are we having to clean this frequently when this is not happening in other buildings that are close? What is happening here? So we're having to clean it this frequently because there's a lot of bird feces that is on it. Like, oh, okay. Well, they could have stopped there, but they didn't. Someone dug a little further and they said, well, tell me, why are the birds so attracted to this particular area? What is that? They did a little more research. They figured out that the birds were really attracted to this area because they liked the gnats and the little insects that were coming to that area. And so they would attract the birds. The birds would come there and eat them, and then they would, use the bathroom. All right. So the next question. Can anybody think of a question that would follow that up when we're saying about the gnats? Can anybody think of a question? Or we would just stop there and say, oh, we'll put some bug spray out. Anybody think of a question? Okay.
Oh, somebody says, why the bugs? What's attracting the gnats? Can we
Look
get
at
the
you.
gnats away?
Exactly. Exactly. I couldn't see the chat, but if I would look up here, then I could see the chat. Sorry, I couldn't figure out where my little bar was.
It's okay. I'll be your guide.
Okay. I see it. Now I'm gonna bring it to this screen and then I actually can see it. All right, cool. They wanted to know why are the gnats here? What can we do to get the gnats away? Exactly, Sarah and Alyssa. Exactly. So what they realized is gnats and those kind of bugs, they're attracted to light. So whenever the light comes up to kind of illuminate the building, so does the bug. So then the bugs come and the bugs come and the birds come and all of that happens. And so when they were able to figure this out by doing this kind of root cause analysis, guess what the solution was? Anybody have any idea what the solution was? Now remember, this is going to be a huge, very expensive undertaking.
Liz says, turn off the lights. Susanna, change the lighting, turn off the light.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Look at you all. You all are saving the government money. Did you see how quickly you came to that? So the solution for this project, the solution for this project that was going to cost well over $1 million was to turn off the lights earlier. Okay. So it wasn't to change the kind of chemicals, because they could have done that, but then they still would have had to do it later. And that's sometimes what we do. We'll ask 1 or 2 questions. We'll get to like the first layer, and when we get to the first layer, then we'll need to make those changes. But really, if we keep digging, we really figure out the root cause, it changes how we respond. And so the solution for this was just turn on the lights earlier.
It's almost like a mini investigation or a forensic exploration.
Exactly. So we spent a lot of time teaching groups to do some of that work. So we were talking about that. Another area of our work is regional collaboration. We're a government agency. Frequently, we're faced with some of the same things other government agencies are. And there's a whole lot of smart people in the world that are already solving problems that we're trying to solve. So the opportunities that we can merge and connect with others in our region, it makes such a difference. And we work on some of the same issues. There's a regional data sharing group that is working on flood, because I don't know if you all know this or not, but floods don't have anything to do with addresses per se. And what I mean by that is, I know you're like, well, Kenisha, there is a floodplain. That's not what I mean. What I mean by that is when water is flowing, it doesn't say, oops, this is the city of Raleigh. Let me pivot left and stay in Wake County. Or, oops, I can't go into Morrisville. Hold up, this is Wake Forest. It doesn't do that. So this is a combined problem. And so one of the things that we know that when water level gets a certain area, believe it or not, there's a location in Cary that when water gets to a certain level, undoubtedly it is going to flood in downtown Raleigh. And it's going to. They have the research. So why not us work together on some of these regional issues so that we can have a greater impact. And some of that work has been recognized even on a national level because it's a great idea. Kind of the work that you all are doing here, different libraries coming together to make excellence happen and to share information and resources. It's what makes sense. And so we we try to own some of that work and grant some of that collaboration. Now, I know you said, Kenisha, are we going to have questions? We are. We are. I'm going to talk about this last thing, and it kind of excites me a little bit. So just bear with me. So another item that we do, we really kind of focus on four main areas in our innovation office. And another one is we create new services and we integrate new programs and services throughout the county. So you heard Brandy talk about our opportunity to work with Amy and some of the individuals within her group on projects within the library. And so we work with all the different departments, and it's so exciting. I get to learn so much from different individuals. And sometimes we get to find out cool stuff that's happening in other areas of the country, other areas of the state. And then we get to start testing it out here in Wake County and figuring out if this is a valuable resource for the individuals that we serve. And so when I talk about the individuals we serve, I'm talking about all the different departments within Wake County. So that's the libraries, that's environmental services, that's health and human services, that is our EMS team, things of that nature, CCBI. And so one project that I'm really excited about is a drone program. And so Wake County has established a drone program where we had to do all this governance because you have to make sure that you're doing this responsibly, and it comes with insurance, so just anybody can't be like, huh, I found this drone on sale this weekend, Kenisha, let me go out and fly for this inspection. So no, we can't do that. But we needed to figure out, how can we use this? How can we be more efficient with using technology? And so we look for opportunities to get that done. And we have a integration of new programs and services, and one of that being a drone program. We've done other things like 3D printing, but again, what did we talk about? We talked about fail fast. And so the 3D printing one, we didn't pull that into a full program because though it looks real good, we didn't have a lot of use cases for it at the time. So we needed to pause on that. So we wanted to be able to pilot different items for individuals. But what did that prevent? That prevented 6 different departments from going out, buying this 3D printing technology, using it for 2 days, or say, oh, well, we're going to figure out how to use this, and not doing it. And so it ended up really saving resources because we kind of put all of that into one. And again, every time someone comes up, they have a great idea as to how they can use drones. Before the budget office and the county commissioners and the county manager just signs off on that, they're like, have you gone through the governance? Have you had a conversation with innovation to make sure that we're being consistent and that we're really talking with each department to make sure that we're one, honoring the work of others, making sure individuals have access, but also following the rules and the legalities that are in place, and not making everything take 2 years to get approved because somebody else has already done that work and it's in a centralized location. So that's the other component of work that we do. So I just wanted to give you a quick highlight of some of the services that Wake County provides in our innovation department, kind of tell you where we're seated. We're seated in the county manager's office again. And those 4 services, if you're like, I don't know what she was talking about. So those 4 services are consultation to improve government services. We really talked about, kind of those 5 whys, really trying to figure out what it is we're trying to change. Training and educational services, teaching people to do some of the work that we do. Regional collaboration, and creation and integration of new programs and services. So that's what I have to say about that. Thank you so much. Any questions? I'm gonna stop sharing so we can see everybody. You want me to stop sharing?
Sure. Kenisha, that was wonderful. It must be the most exciting job to work with all those different
I
departments.
love it.
It sounds amazing. So yeah, love to hear from the attendees. I do have some, some prompting questions if we need to. But is there anything that's on your minds, your hearts right now that you want to ask Kenisha about her work and how you might be able to bring innovation to your department, your team? Open, or we have the floor is open. Well, I'll kick us off. So Kenisha, I'm curious. So when someone approaches you with a project, and you start to work on it, what's the biggest challenge, in your opinion, so far with your experience, um, being innovative when working on a project? Is it money? Is it time? Is it, resources? Can you talk about some of the challenges that you face?
Absolutely. I think it is definitely the stakeholders and making sure we have the buy-in from the relevant stakeholders. And I do that very early on because if we don't, what'll happen is we can get 3 months into a project, and some projects only take 3 months, but we can invest a lot of time in a project, and then someone who has a lot of influence and power can step in and was like, oh, we're not my team is not dedicating any more time to this project, and then it's going to halt and it won't be able to move forward. And I have some examples of that. Even when you think you have all the right people at the table, someone can carry that message and carry it incorrectly. And it can really pause the work it can really pause the work and stop it. And that impacts morale so much. So one would think that it's money, but it is really making sure that all the right stakeholders are at the table, being considered very early on, and that they have the space to get that done. And I can see Jenny's question.
Oh,
You want me to go to that?
oh yeah, let's see here. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, can you talk about your approach to brainstorming and
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yes, I'm sorry. Sometimes when I'm just get excited, I'm like, yes, we can talk about that. All right. So you thought you were going to be able to have a meeting without hearing this word COVID. Sorry, you didn't. So before we would get everybody together and we would talk about ideas that we wanted to do. We would use little sticky notes. I normally have some at my desk that I could like pull up, but I can't. So I use different tools now so that we can begin to figure out what are we brainstorming around. Um, there are things that people use like mind mapping, idea mashup, ideation. Those are some like tools that some individuals use. A lot of times I will kind of map out what is it that we're currently doing, what is it that we want to be doing, and what are our ideas to get there. Then after we will use, so now that we're virtual, so you're like, what did COVID have to do with that? Okay, so I had to change strategy. So we didn't just use a bunch of sticky notes. A lot of times I'll use Mural because we are, as a platform, because we are virtual, and I will assign, everybody will get a link to go into this Mural board so they can build their sticky notes as well. So they have these little virtual sticky notes, and we'll begin to put ideas that we have in solutions. And I'm very careful to say I want everything. I teach a class, two classes. One is called How to Make Things Happen in Government, and I talk about that a little bit. And then the other one is Introduction to Creative Design, and that is one that I teach through one of our regional collaborations with TJ Cog, Triangle J Council of Governments. That's what TJ Cog stands for. And so we use that platform, we map these things out, and I tell everyone I want every idea. I want even the ideas that you think this will never happen. Because once you've been in an organization for a while, you feel like you know people and you're like, I'll never be able to get this done. But that's what I want. I want what will make it easy for you. Don't put in the barriers. Let's talk about what will make it easier for you to get this done. Then I talk about why hasn't it happened yet? Because sometimes people have had this great idea before, and these were the barriers. And I like to know those early on because then we can kind of pivot or go ahead and address the barriers first. And
right?
we have been able to make that happen. And I'll give you one example. And I don't want to veer too much from the question about brainstorming. But I will give you a quick example of, we had this idea, what are we doing with our surplus? So we have these computers, a whole lot of them, because we have 4,000 employees and most of them have some kind of computer. And when they're at the end of the life, what do we do with them? So we were sending them all to surplus for them to be destroyed. And we did nothing else with it. Well, someone had a great idea a couple of years ago and they wanted to donate them. Imagine that. They wanted to donate them for someone else in the community to be able to use them. And so, but there were barriers. There were all kinds of barriers that no one would ever see. Some of those were some legal barriers. Some of those were security. So that's really legitimate. But where I started was I wanted to know, why didn't it happen before? But had I told people, what are your ideas now? And they just were bound by what they know already didn't happen, we would have never been able to get to a resolution. So when I understood what the barriers were, the first places I went to were security. The second place I went to was our legal team. That's not true. I first went to our legal team and then I went to security. Because I was like, legally, what can I do? Because people tell you stuff. People quick to tell you what you can and cannot do. But we were able to make it happen. Why? They reviewed the law. We can't do this. But guess what? We couldn't do. We couldn't donate. We can't donate because we purchased this with county with money. Taxpayer dollars. We can't donate it. But guess what you can do? You can transfer it. So it doesn't say that we donate our county surplus. It says that we transfer our county surplus. See what I'm saying? So it's really like, and so let me know if I need to go back to brainstorm, but I use different tools based upon what individuals need. Then I try to categorize. I kind of try to categorize the different feedback. And when we categorize it to say, okay, these are really, really similar. These are really similar. How do I get that? I try to avoid groupthink. So I let people do their sticky notes on their own first. So I'll ask questions and I'll let them write down all of their sticky notes and then I have them put them up. Then we categorize them and talk about it together. Because sometimes when people begin to give their feedback, people are like silenced and it doesn't always yield to everybody's personality and their learning style and their engagement style. Some people are more introverts and they would prefer, they have a lot of great ideas, but they don't want to, like, I'm not going to talk over you for this space to share. Like, enjoy. But we haven't heard from a group, we haven't heard from a large group of people. And so I always try to use that first. I try to everybody do their own stuff first. Then we put it up, then we map it out. And then how do we decide what we're going to work on? Then we put it on. So other people use different tools, but I really like the PACE chart. And so the PACE chart is divided into 4 quadrants. And it talks about, this is going to be easy to do. See, if I had it up, I'm sorry. So it's like, this is going to be easy to do or hard to do. So it's almost like a continuum, easy to hard, and then high impact to low impact. And so we take each group of ideas or each individual idea, depending upon if we have a lot that can group together, and we really call it out and say, okay, is this going to have high impact or low impact? And people answer that question. And then I'll get it to about there. I was like, I think it'll be about here. And they'll tell me, yeah. All right. So is it easy or hard to implement? And then they tell me there. And then I map each one of those out because it gives us another visual. So then where do we start? So when we get all that done, where do we start? We start with things that are easy to do, that's going to have high impact, because it changes the morale and the momentum. When people know that they are being heard, they have a whole lot more ideas. And then they feel like it's worth it. So if I'm going to share something, you are actually going to try to get this done. Oh, let's make this happen. Let's do this together. So, did I answer your question?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
I've seen that chart in action recently. I think Frank Cope, our community service manager, has been using that. So now I know where that came from.
He's good. All right.
Yes. Does anybody else have any questions?
Amy has a question.
Oh.
And it says, Kenisha, can you touch on the Big Idea Project and how that would support innovation in Wake County? Absolutely. So the Big Idea Project is kind of like, I'm gonna use this word, Innovation Academy. We've tried to stick away from like an academy, but like we like elite stuff. So what we have done is we've put together a series of curriculum that we're going to bring individuals in and teach them the strategy to take something from an idea to implementation. And it's going to have several different strategies. Now I'm getting ready to try to talk and pull something up so I can give you, I'm going to give you some, I was going to tell you what the classes are. You just be patient with me. Okay. So we're going to do this. Now, one of the things about it is we asked for ideas for the whole organization to submit ideas that they have about making things better in their workspace. And we didn't turn down anything. Now, once we got it together, we asked the groups to look at this. I'm doing it. Okay. I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to share my screen in a minute. I'm going to show you what a mural looks like so you can see kind of where we plan. So I'm going to give you like a back scene view, Amy. Look at this. Maybe we'll see. All right, if I can get it all the way together. All right.
I used it one time. It was interesting because it works for visual people, definitely, I think.
And it allows people to kind of be engaged, you know, to the level that they want to be engaged in. So what we do, we've got ideas from all throughout the organization. Then we had a review committee. Remember I talked about stakeholders and people having the influence. So I might have a great idea for you, but is it something that I really can impact? So we kind of looked at that. But then I might have a great idea for me and the work that I do. But if my leadership isn't going to support it, how far am I going to be able to carry this? So after we got all of the ideas, we put this to, we sent the ideas, we took the names and all of that stuff off of it. And we took the ideas, we shared the ideas with our selection committee. And the selection committee involved individuals in the county manager's office. So everyone in their hierarchical structure reports to somebody up in the county manager's office. And so we wanted their input. And we wanted, and so we did that. So we did that. We had someone from Human Services. We had some individuals from HR on this group. So they looked at everything and they ranked them. And so we can't do all of the ideas, but we could pull about 10 to 12 ideas. And that group will come together and we're going to teach them things. The categories are going to have 5 sessions. And then we're also going to have labs. So let me show you quickly. Well, 5 sessions, and then they'll all have labs, and labs are like homework. Can you see my screen? Maybe.
We sure can. Yep.
All right, you see the mural. All right. So session 1 is what is the problem? Exploring what is the problem. Session 2 is data makes it happen. Section 3 is creative design. Session 4 is test it out, make it better. Session 5 is idea-mony, testimony, kind of telling the story of your project. Now, if you're in the program, the titles are going to change, but that's kind of an idea of what we're going to do. And we're going to teach everyone different strategies in doing this. So the question came up about brainstorming. So we'll teach how to do maybe some reverse thinking, brain writing, idea mashup, storyboarding. We may also make it a little bigger for you. We'll talk about interviewing skills, structure. We'll talk about the 5 whys, stakeholder mapping. We're being very intentional about teaching individuals to do the work that we're doing so that they can replicate this with their teams, so that Wake County is an innovative organization. Now, if I were to send you all, so I'm talking about 2 things. So that's a little bit about the big idea project. Are there other things, Amy, that you want me to say about the big idea project?
I was just curious as to how y'all were envisioning, because y'all haven't actually started yet, have you?
We haven't started the classes yet, but that's how the structure will be.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. The review committee has completed their review. We've had follow-up conversations with the review committee. Most of the first 8 projects have been identified and received support. And that's that. I'm gonna say one other thing about this tool as a mural. No, this isn't about mural, but you can see how much we can do on mural. You can use this for like brainstorming. Everybody will have some level of swag that they'll get. But if I send an invitation to anyone, I can send you a link to this. Everyone would be able to join. You can use this. And I'm telling you this just because it's something that you can do as librarians working and having meetings collaboratively and virtual. And you literally right click on something and then everybody see that sticky note pop up. Like it's so easy to do. I just did another yellow one. It's something that is really easy to use and manipulate and collaborate with groups on ideas.
I'm gonna give it another shot because I did a session. There was a speaker. She's a consultant. Yasmin, I can't remember her last name. Sorry about that. But anyway, she did a session I went to and I was like, oh, this is great. But you know how it is. You go to a session, you come home and you're like, okay, and you know, it goes poof. But looking at this again, it really is, especially in the virtual world right now that we're still, I mean, we're starting to gather, but there's still a lot of virtual meetings and people sometimes prefer that. So I like the mural concept. And again, it's so visual. It appeals to my personality type. So thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. And even if everybody's not in person, you're going to see a lot more hybrid meetings where some people are in person, some people are there. So how can we make sure everybody interacts? And so we're constantly looking for tools that we can leverage to really engage individuals. Another thing we do in innovation, we're doing a series of classes. So that's just like the academy, like from beginning to ending on an idea. But we do a series of classes that I did talk about. But one I didn't talk about is called Cool Tools. And we talk about tools that are available for individuals in the organization to use to kind of enhance the work that they do. So this next one, we'll talk about mural. We talk about Rocketbook, which is really you have a pen and a paper and you can take notes on it. And then you can mark at the bottom. You can mark at the bottom of the paper, just a little icon. And it takes a picture. You can take a picture of it with your phone and it'll digitize it for you. And it's so simple and it'll send it right where you want it. So I mostly do it like for an email. And so I'll just put an X over the icon that is for email. And when I take a picture of it, it sends it to my email. And you can do it to OneNote and things of that nature. And so we'll do that. We do stuff like Beyond. We'll highlight Beyond is an animation video that you all may be interested in. It's online. You can build out animation really quickly. It conveys messages. So instead of doing a lecture to someone, think about how you can use other tools to be engaging. And guess what? And it could prevent you from repeating yourself. So you can anybody can play the video. So you got a message you want to give somebody? Let me use Beyond, create it. It's interactive, it's engaging, and you can send it to multiple people and they have the same message.
I'm going to try to look for your classes because I need to find this and see if I can get in this.
Yes. A link should go out. They're already on eWake Talent, but the next series, if you want to find them like easy in one place, I think the notice is going to go out. I think midday Monday is when it'll go out to all Wake County employees. It's just another way to see it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I have one question that I really am selfishly curious about is how does one get into the field of innovation? If someone's interested in this type of position or, even, how did you get to where you are?
Okay. Thank you for that question. Because I like to laugh and I say, who knew that I didn't know that my dream job existed, right? I like to meet people where they are and make things happen. And so I used to say, who better do that than me? But really, that's what I used to say, because I just find so much joy in it, but it's just me talking to myself, right? And so who better to do that than you? So number one, you have to believe that you have to really believe that you can make things happen. You have to really believe that and embrace it. And then look for opportunities to put a methodology with that. So we can believe all day long that we can make things happen, but people like to hear that you have a methodology, that you have a way and a process of getting there. And so that can be different, but that's what they like to hear. So I'm certified in lean thinking. And how did I become certified in lean thinking? When I became certified, it wasn't because I was trying to get another job. I was a program manager in child welfare. I had a team of direct to indirect reports of up to 70 people. And I had some things that we needed to make. I had some things we needed to make happen. And I wanted to garner some energy within my teams around some of these. And I heard about this and I signed up. And it was through NC State. Woohoo! See, because we're on the NC State platform now. So it was through NC State, and we began to do that. And so I would say if someone wants to get into a space like this, number one, start reading a lot of job descriptions. When I start reading a lot of job descriptions, just read them, not based on the title, read the job description. When I first came into this role, if the title had been innovation strategist, I'd have been like, let me try this, but it wasn't. It was IT. I am not an IT girl. If you have not figured that out yet, I am, you said it earlier, but I am a social worker to the heart of who I am. And I just am a social worker who likes to make things happen. I like to meet people where they are and take them where they want to go. Like, I'm here for it. But it said IT, information technology, project manager / innovation partner. I'd have never read that. So I was reading it and I read it and I said, who wrote me a job description? Like, this is just beautiful. But I would have never gotten there from the title, number one. And in organizations, this kind of position sits in budget. It sits in IT. It sits in different portions portions. The main thing, so I would say always learn. So I'm talking to a bunch of librarians, so you all love to learn. And so that's always great because I'm a continuous learner. So that's number one. So always learn and look for opportunities to do something new. And think about your skills. And think about how your skills are transferable. Think about the things that you currently do and why people need you in other spaces. People need someone that's detailed focused. You think about highlighting that based upon your degree, but think about how many people would be better if you were there. Transferable skills and marketing them.
That's great advice. So let me see here. Are there any before I go to my list, does anybody have any questions? I want to make sure I give everybody an opportunity. Please put it in the chat or unmute yourself. This is just so fascinating. I'm enjoying this. But I am curious, are there any trends going on in 2022? I'm like, what year is it? 2022.
Right?
Are there big trends happening right now? You mentioned some of the boards, but just curious, like, I'm sure you're on listservs or with other people, and you mentioned the drones, and I always had this idea that we could deliver books by drone somehow, but
See,
but you would have to have some sort of covering. But anyway,
right.
I kid, but are there any trends that you're seeing that are just new and maybe that have changed in the last couple of years? I'm thinking, I guess, more technology stuff, but
yeah,
it doesn't have to be.
embracing virtual platforms and collaborative spaces. I am seeing that enhanced so much. So that means things like Teams, other components of other technology where you can be in a live meeting like this, have a whiteboard space, have other spaces where individuals can collaborate. That has been another gift of COVID. It allowed individuals to respect that people can perform without being looked at. Like we don't have to be in this building to perform. It moved us more towards measures and how to do that. So what I've seen most in the development is things regarding hybrid workspaces and maximizing technology in a way that people feel like they are present and able to engage. And so I'll look for something more sophisticated, and I might email you something else. But that's really what I see. And you can even think about it in Teams. We launched Teams January, February of 2020, right before COVID, with no idea we were getting ready to shut down. And even initially, there were so many other platforms that I had, because Teams is what our organization uses internally to communicate and to share information and have electronic collaborative spaces. And it has just grown through the 2 years, because there's so many things that I couldn't do initially that I needed to do. And I was using WebEx and other things to get that done. And so that space is really, to me, that space has really, really transitioned. Susanna has a question. Do I have any tips we can use to convince our own counties like us to start innovation in departments like ours? Find the person who makes the decision that likes to try things new. And then I would say become the person in your department that likes to try things that are new, and show people that you do it like cautiously, because I have a little slide that I use in a class that I teach, and it's a person petting a shark. And it says, we really never know how far we can go until we try. So let them know that you're willing to try, but you take calculated risks, and be able to do that. But find the person who has that, and they're everywhere. But find the person who is willing to try and excited about trying new things, and begin to engage them in conversations about how can we do that more. Say things like, people that are doing the work, they really do have the answers. Like, we don't really have to hire consultants for all of this greatness. Just begin to engage in dialogue with them, and become that person in where you are, like where you are standing now. There's a quote that I like to use, it says, and I can't give credit to who said it because I don't remember, but it wasn't me that came up with it. Is that quote, librarians? Is that
That's good. Disclaimer.
Okay. It's like a disclaimer, but it says bloom where you're planted, right? So begin to do the things that you want where you are now, so that and then be having those same conversations. And what I find is that you are then also planting the seed with them to say these kind of things are possible, because once you try it a couple of times and you yield results, you'll be able to take it and say, oh, we could do this. And guess what? The one thing that I really like is what I did with some of the work that I did with libraries. I replicated some of that exact same work with human services, with Medicaid. And when people are thinking about stuff, they're not thinking about, oh, I'm doing this. Why would I be doing the same thing that libraries is doing? We needed the same platform. We needed the same kind of idea. And that's just an opportunity to do that. And so do it where you are now. Talk to other people, that are in decision making positions to do that. And then the other thing I would say, so I would say three things. Find other departments that you can collaborate with and find solutions. I think that is probably one of your largest selling points. Not only are you becoming that person, you're finding other departments and you all are using the same solution for your individual needs. People in decision-making positions love that, because it makes them look like they're working together. And I mean, they are,
Yeah.
but you are so great.
It's kind of like strength in numbers, if you can get other people on board, try things on a smaller basis. I always like to say, one of my staff members jokes around, I'm like, all right, I love this idea. Can you write up a proposal for this? And she's like, you always say write up a proposal. I said, because most people, they want to be able to see your pattern of thinking and where you're going. And, talking is great, but always have that. And, that's my personal opinion, because
absolutely.
When those stakeholders are busy, they're going to want something tangible to look at. So,
yep.
We have about 4 minutes left. This has been great, Kenisha. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have any thoughts, questions, comments? I'm excited to try some innovative things. I think sessions like this are important to invigorate us, because sometimes, you know, in the world we can get, and I know a lot of people are struggling right now, just like keeping their head above water and so forth. So it's just a pleasure to kind of like to dive into something creative and interesting and new and fun. So thank you so much.
Yes. And
I look,
builds morale. Like it builds
yes,
morale. Like that was my idea, for
yes.
people.
And I hope to be working with you in the future, Kenisha. I definitely want to check out
Yeah.
more of your workshops um, and that academy, and I'm excited about that. So,
Thank
all right.
you. Thank you all for having me. This is great.
Thank you, Kenisha, and thank you, Brandy, so much for your time today. And thank you all for attending this workshop. We hope it was helpful for you and you've got some new ideas and ready to start innovating at your libraries.
And this session is all, these are recorded. So the person that asked about, you know, I mean, I think sharing this recording with some people would be eye-opening as